Understand there was an incident that took place here?
Yeah, I'm a logger, and 2 weeks ago, we were all working out here. There was at least 20 guys, and we just started noticing.
From the discovery of a handprint that defies any logic out in the middle of the woods, to the eerie feeling of knowing that they were being followed by something nefarious out in the middle of nowhere, here is how Expedition Bigfoot's team got into a ton of trouble while making a terrifying discovery. My, oh my, what do we have here? People are still in search of the legendary cryptid called Bigfoot? For centuries now, many in the continent of North America have been hoping to prove that this strange bipedal creature truly roams the many forests found in the land. However, despite the lore surrounding this creature being in existence for centuries, nobody has ever come away with conclusive proof that Bigfoot is indeed real. That said, this hasn't stopped people from trying. Perhaps most notably in recent times, we have several members of the Expedition Bigfoot striving to prove to the world that Bigfoot is truly out there. This time, they hope to come away with proof that is far better than the dubious photos produced by some or the unclear videos uploaded onto the internet by others.
Russ and Maria are gonna go across the mainland to follow this tracker. I don't think my work is done here. I think there are more Bigfoot here on this island.
Oh, we might be looking at a kill site.
This time, they even hope that they will have encounters of their own that would supersede that which has been told to others for many years. That said, it has not been easy, as these people have been forced to expose themselves to some of the strangest and perhaps most dangerous elements in the woods as they plod on with the search for the legendary cryptid that is Bigfoot.
Bryce, this tree line is really thick, but I hear something big in there. Somewhere right around in here.
Oh, look right there. I got something right there.
Look, something's just standing there.
Hey, Ronnie, I'm picking some. Oh my God, it's
there it is.
moving.
The frightening evidence that was discovered during Expedition Bigfoot's search for Bigfoot. As it seems as though the guys on the Expedition Bigfoot team have been searching for the legendary cryptid for years now, it should come as no surprise that from time to time, their search ends up not going according to their plans.
I got feeling this was going to be an active site, but I had no idea that I would stumble upon my very first Bigfoot track.
During one of these occasions, their plans went awry, not for any particular fault of their own, other than the fact that something occurred out there that scared them out of their wits. This incident occurred when they decided to set up some of their trackers and sound detectors in the woods. To them, this would give them a good chance of tracing the legendary creature if it was truly out there in those particular woods. This was an arduous task, especially as they didn't see any signs or activities that could have given them a solid impression that this creature may have been out there. As unlikely as it may have seemed at the time, the team must have been really excited when one of their trackers picked up some signals out in the woods. Hoping to get something that would bring them close to bringing the search for Bigfoot to an end, they tracked down the signals to a surge in the water body that was close to the tracker.
But people have had sightings of mountain lions in Leominster State Forest.
Right.
A jogger, he comes running here quite often, said he saw foot, like a weird foot leg. So,
hoping that this would lead to something even more exciting, the team felt that it may be best for them to cross the water so that they could find their way to the mainland. If they could get across the water to the mainland, maybe they could follow the clues to wherever it may lead them to. With any luck, it may lead them to whatever triggered their tracker. Perhaps with even more luck, they may actually be able to follow the signals to the legendary cryptid called Bigfoot. Excited, they pushed on with following their tracker. As they proceeded into the woods, they began to feel that maybe they had picked up the presence of more than one Bigfoot on the island that they were on at the moment. Outstanding evidence. As excited as they were with this search for Bigfoot, it didn't take too long for this excitement to turn into fear. This occurred when the tracker led them to what they could only describe as a murder scene. Unbelievable. As you can imagine, all they could see from that point onwards was that something horrible had taken place there. Frightened and troubled, the team took some time, but eventually they were able to compose themselves. Following this, they were then able to deduce what may have been the best lead for them to follow from that point onwards. This decision saw them going deeper into the woods. Eventually, they made their way to what they saw as another significant lead. To them, this lead could prove to be so significant that it may actually be able to bring the search for Bigfoot to an end. This significant lead was a massive non-human handprint that was imprinted into the ground right before them. What was even more shocking about the handprint was that the handprint was twice as large as any normal human being. To some of the members of the team, this was definitely proof that Bigfoot existed, as this handprint definitely belonged to the legendary cryptid. With such a discovery right before them, the team was excited to inform Ronnie about the handprint. Excited himself, Ronnie came over to take a look at the massive handprint that had gotten the rest of the team all excited. Ronnie himself was swept up in the excitement when he eventually saw the handprint himself. With such excitement buzzing in the team, you couldn't blame the team for wanting to push on further into the forest to search for Bigfoot. With that in mind, Ronnie decided that maybe he would want to carry out some investigations of his own. As such, he decided to follow the rest of the team as they went deeper into the forests found on the island. Even more evidence comes to light as we search for Bigfoot. Eager to build on the discovery of this massive handprint, the group decided that they would set out on their journey into the woods early in the morning. As soon as the sun came up, the group headed out into the woods so that they could take another look at the massive handprint. After all, there was every chance that it could lead them to an even better piece of evidence. This would prove to be a great idea because soon after they came across the handprint once more, they came across another amazing discovery. This new discovery came in the shape of some knuckle marks that they found close by. With the discovery of such a clue in place, the team felt that they could come to the logical conclusion that they were not dealing with any humans at all. Sure, the size of the hand was indicative enough, but those knuckle marks told us that they must definitely be on the right track in their search for Bigfoot. With that in mind, we can see how these footprints suggest that Bigfoot is not as bipedal as we may have imagined. This was great for the team because this was important data that could help them find this legendary creature. At the very least, they could add it to the collection of data that they had built up over time. Past evidence. Speaking of collection of data, the team was excited to find that there was actually a huge difference between the skull of humans and the skull of Bigfoot. They were able to determine this because of the Bigfoot skull that they came across just a year before they found themselves in these woods. Looking at the size of the skull and the fissure found on it, they were able to tell that this creature must have been some sort of human-ape-like hybrid. At least it seemed to have features of such creatures in one body. At this point in time, this evidence made it seem likely that this creature may not have been solely bipedal, thereby adding more credence to the fact that the handprint and the knuckle marks may have actually belonged to Bigfoot. With such exciting discoveries coming into play, you could only imagine how motivated the team would become when they eventually came across two new sets of prints. This was truly an exciting moment for all involved, because this told them that there might actually be more than one Bigfoot in the woods. This is crazy because half the time, people are engrossed with finding just the one Bigfoot. Imagine finding a family or a community of the legendary cryptid in the woods. It would be one of the most fascinating discoveries in recent times. With the evidence literally marked in the ground before them, the team seemed to develop the confidence needed to push on with their search for the legendary creature. The simple notion that their chances of finding Bigfoot had just gone up because they may be searching for more than one of these creatures was enough to keep them going. As such, the team decided that they needed some more information before they pushed on with this search, so they sent some images of these prints to Bryce so that he could see if he could get some more information about them. Who knows? Maybe it could lead to the discovery of even more crucial proof. Immediately when Bryce laid his eyes on these images, he knew that he was looking at something special because he could tell that these prints were distinct in nature. Looking at the information that they had before them now, you couldn't really blame the team for being even more excited about their search for this creature in these woods. That said, although they were all excited about their search for Bigfoot going forward, they were still aware of the difficulty that the thick woods presented before them. If they went deeper into these woods, they realized that they could be too dense and too thick for them to make any real progress while they were out there. Despite such a challenge, the team decided that they were not going to be discouraged by the thickness and the density of these woods. If anything, this compelled them to think outside the box. As a result, they came to the conclusion that the woods must be so thick that the creatures may have been making their way through these woods by moving along the riversides. Hoping to follow the path these creatures may have taken, the team decided to go down a route that took them to the valley found nearby. This seemed to be the best move for them to take, especially because the valley seemed to be surrounded by the river. With their focus on one particular spot rather than the entire forest as a whole, the team was driven to see this theory to its very end, in the hopes that it may eventually lead them to the legendary cryptid. Strange humanoid creature lurking in the woods. Looking to make the most of this opportunity, the team decided that it may be best for them to come up with a plan to trap these creatures as they went into said valley. As a result, they decided to achieve the first step of the plan before they went any further. This involved a thorough search of the entire area so that they could see if there was any chance that they could run into Bigfoot at that point in time. Undoubtedly, this will be a long and tiring exercise to carry out, but they had no choice. If they were going to find this creature, they were going to have to do all it took to track it down. In order to be as efficient as they could be, the team decided that it may be best for them to split into two teams. At least that way, they could cover both sides of the valley. As efficient as this may seem, they knew that they had to be as careful as possible with this scan of the valley. They wouldn't want to miss out on any of the important clues that could lead them to these creatures that they were tracking. Thankfully, they had Bryce's high-tech equipment to help them with this scan. They even had robots that would be able to help them pick up the trace of whatever could be residing within the valley. Hoping to get even more details on the environment that they were exploring, the team even saw fit to get some drones that could help them with their work. With these drones, they could carry out the aerial scan of the entire valley. As this was going on, the rest of the team pushed on with the scan of the area with their robot. With such efforts being put into the search of this creature and its potential family, there was every chance that they could come across something that could help them bring the search for Bigfoot to an end. These efforts seemed to pay off when the team came across some strange activity while they were still within the valley. Thanks to the robots and the drones that they had with them, the team were stunned when their machines recorded the footage of a strange humanoid creature that was lurking in the darkness of the thick, dense woods that could be found in the forest. As you guys can imagine, the team wasted no time in coordinating the drones so that they could move as quickly as possible. That way, they could direct them towards a glacier that was located nearby in the hope that they could get some more details on the humanoid figure that their machines picked up. As this move was being coordinated, the team was also making moves elsewhere. This was when Ronnie picked up the signs of something that was making its way through the thick timber lines so that they could get some more information about what they had just seen. Hoping to build on what he and the rest of the team had just seen, Ronnie decided that he was going to perform another review of the footage in the hopes that he would get some more details on what was going on out there. It didn't take too long for him to be left in a state of shock when he heard a howl coming from the tree line that was accompanied by the cracking of the branches in the woods. After some time, though, Ronnie will be left in a state of disappointment due to what he had picked up during this further analysis of what he had seen. He was actually left disappointed because of the poor quality of the footage. Fortunately, Ronnie would not be left disappointed for too long. He had Bryce to give him a hand. Thanks to this collaboration, the team was on hand to make sure that the drones would eventually be dispatched over to the location that Ronnie was most interested in at that point in time. Thanks to these efforts, the team was on hand to pick up something strange in the woods with their thermal lens. This was amazing because this presence was picked up just 200 yards away from where Ronnie stood. It seemed to be close enough for Ronnie and the rest of the team to hear the sound, even though they could not really see where the creature was. Thankfully, the team had the thermal imaging equipment with them. Unfortunately, the use of the equipment won't last for too long because even these cameras would eventually lose track of whatever it had been tracing while it was out there. As fascinating as this moment was for the team, they had to admit that it only led to more questions than answers, and to be honest, that was quite unsatisfactory. Well, that seems to be the case for everyone apart from Ronnie, who thought that this was a massive moment for him and the team. He seemed to be so fascinated by the fact that they had been so close to the creature, and as a result, there was no way that he was going to give up on this trail. In fact, so eager was he not to lose this trail that he did all he could to follow the tracks that he came across while he was out there. While this was happening, he ran into Bryce, who was tracking the same creature with his own thermal equipment. Having run into each other in the woods, the pair figured that it made sense for them to join forces. Before long, the pair picked up a strange noise out there in the bushes. Excited by this experience, the pair began to follow the sound and the tracks that it seemed to leave behind. Before long, the group was left in a state of shock when they came across these huge impressions that were now standing out in the snow. These impressions told the team that the creature may have been close to them not too long ago. Unbelievable! As if that isn't shocking enough, the team realized that there were some huge stems and trees in the area that had been split in half somewhere in between the footprints. Looking at the devastation before them, the team was forced to ponder on what exactly may have wreaked this havoc out in the middle of nowhere. Looking at what they saw before them, they had no reason not to believe that this devastation may have been left behind by Bigfoot. As if the present situation was not weird enough for them, they found out that they had only missed this devastation by a matter of moments as they were barely 6 feet apart. Hoping not to miss out on such an opportunity again, Ronnie sped off deeper into the woods. The rest of the team could tell that he was desperate to catch the trail of the culprit. Hoping that this creature may not have gotten too far away from them, Ronnie fished out his thermal imaging device so that he could maybe find this creature in the dense woods. Sadly, despite the thermal imaging device at the team's disposal, the woods would prove to be too thick for them to get through. Hoping to do what he could to make some progress, Ronnie tried to make his way around the disruptive trees. Sadly, these efforts would still prove to be in vain, especially as the cameras proved not to be able to see through the darkness in the woods. That said, they could not ignore the fact that they could still hear whatever was out there. Before long, the team would be left in a state of shock when they realized that there was something following them. Moments later, they would almost be catatonic when they saw that there was this strange humanoid creature that was slowly sneaking up on them. Stunned into stupor, Ronnie needed a moment or two to regain his composure. In his mind, there is every chance that this experience will lead to the end of the search for Bigfoot. Unfortunately, this profound moment would go out when the team realized that they were only looking at Bryce. He had gotten lost along the way, only to find his way back to them. Despite such a disappointing moment, the team pushed on with their work. Soon, they were able to find the tracks of the creature again. With this new break, the team knew that they had to do all they could to bring this mystery to an end. Excited, they knew that they had to leave here with something after coming this far. Sure, it meant that they had to go down such a scary pathway, but they weren't really bothered because they knew that they did not really have a choice. They knew that if they were ever going to find this legendary creature, they were going to have to go through some of the most trying and tasking experiences out there. If they worked well, they may actually be able to find the leads that could lead them to the discovery of this legendary creature. Let's see if Expedition Bigfoot will be able to do the job. From the discovery of a handprint that defies any logic out in the middle of the woods, to the eerie feeling of knowing that they were being followed by something nefarious out in the middle of nowhere, here is how Expedition Bigfoot's team got into a ton of trouble while making a terrifying discovery.